And we begin at 5 with the damage done by multiple severe storms in eastern Oregon and in two especially hard-hit areas, Milton, Freewater, and Wallowa. Storms have hit Milton, Freewater 3 times this week. The wind at times so powerful it took down huge trees and not just power lines, but entire poles. And in Wallowa, hail as large as baseballs slammed down on homes and vehicles. And as you can see in this video, siding was ripped right off of homes. The mayor there declaring a state of emergency so more resources could be used for the cleanup. Thank you for joining us for KGW News at 5 o'clock. I'm Laurel Porter. And I'm David Molko. Let's get straight to team coverage as these communities literally pick up the pieces. We'll get to Matt in just a second. But first, to Daisy Caballero. She is in Milton, Freewater. So, Daisy, walk us through what you are seeing and what it's like there on the ground.
Well, David, things are definitely coming along. Just around an hour ago or so, there was a tree trimming service that was picking up what was remained from this downed tree behind me. Now, neighbors tell me that this tree actually snapped in half, and they believe it's because of those gusty conditions. Now, go ahead and take a look at your screen. Take a look at this video. A neighbor in the Green Acres mobile home site off of Highway 125 took this Wednesday night right around 9 o'clock. This tree totaled 2 cars, both belonging to the Rodriguez family. They say they saw thunder, hail the size of golf balls, and wind gusts that reached up to 60 miles an hour. The owner of the park tells me a total of 3 trees came down alongside a single power pole. But here's how the neighbor, who lost both of his cars and has lived here for almost 10 years, described what happened.
Well, it was pretty bad. It was, well, first of all, it was raining hail, the size of maybe that big. It was just, you know, it was windy. It was really windy and raining hail and then rain, and that's what caused it. I'm pretty sure, you know, all the wind.
Now, this is one of the 2 cars that were totaled by that tree that you saw in the video just a few moments ago. Now, both the neighbors and also the property manager told me that they've seen their fair share of storms, but nothing like this before. Back to you guys.
Wow, Daisy Caballero in Milton, Freewater, and a dog in the background angry about that damage too. Let's bring in Brian Clerkley now. We're talking about another storm that hit some 75 miles to the southeast, the town of Wallowa. One resident there saying it felt like she'd been hit by a tornado.
Yeah, she says that she's never seen this before, David. She's lived in the area her entire life. Again, Wallowa mayor declared the city a state of emergency. And you know, her home was damaged. Her cars were too, as well as her garden. The hail that came down fell strong and heavy, and now people in the area have a lot of cleaning up to do.
This is what eastern Oregon experienced Thursday afternoon. Video shows hail coming down in Union County and covering the ground. This photo shows just how large the hail was in some areas around Union and Wallowa counties. That hail coming down so strong, this was the impact on the siding of Alyssa Worst Daggett's home in Wallowa.
And I mean, it was just hitting the side of my house, extreme force. And it's damaged most everything on the west side of my house. Matter of fact, everywhere in Wallowa, any west side facing surface is just obliterated.
Alyssa says she's never seen hail like this before.
Everyone's in the same boat. I feel bad for those who have lost, I have one friend who lost all their chickens. I mean, there's been some devastation there. Nobody has a garden left.
She says the community is coming together for the cleanup.
So many people have come down and helped put plywood on people's houses. My neighbor, they lost all their skylights in their house. They got help putting those on.
Wallowa Mayor Gary Hall says most of the damage has been to windows and roofs. There's been between 8 and 10 minor injuries so far. The mayor declared a state of emergency for the city.
We have Oregon Department of Forestry and the U.S. Forest Service sent crews down, assistance in checking each one of our houses to make sure that elderly people have what they need.
The mayor himself had 7 windows busted out of his home from the damage. Elkhorn Media Group covers Eastern Oregon on the radio and online. Its news director, Shannon McCone, said in a phone interview that all available generators in the area have been moved to Wallowa to help with the power outages.
The fact that there's people banding together to help them, whether that be food or there's businesses offering free coffee or, transporting people to, if they need to be seen medically or even if they just had prearranged things. It's a great community and it really shows the support and love that everybody has for each other.
The mayor says there was a curfew in Wallowa from dusk until dawn to allow space for emergency crews to come in and respond. He's checking with the local fire department and police to see if that'll still be needed tonight. Officials advise homeowners with damage to take pictures and get in touch with their insurance agent so they are ready to go as the cleanup continues.
Wow, the stories we heard, the pictures are so dramatic. Let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino with an overview of the situation. Matt, how about those strong winds?
Yeah, the strongest winds we had were 2 nights ago up in Milton Freewater with a thunderstorm downburst wind that did so much damage. Saw one report of it picking up a mobile home, tossing it 30 feet onto another mobile home and destroying it. So that was the biggest wind gust, the 90 miles an hour Wednesday night in Milton Freewater. But I want to talk about the hail as well. Largest hail report was tennis ball size. Now, this is a baseball, your typical hard ball. It's actually from a Hillsboro Hops game that I got a couple years ago. And this diameter is 2.75 inches, slightly bigger than a tennis ball, but not by much. A tennis ball is 2.5 inches in diameter. So imagine that. I mean, and it's hard, just like hail. And if you bounce this, it makes a big noise because it comes down with a lot of force. So that's what they were dealing with there. Hail is big, almost as big as a baseball and the same size as a tennis ball. And this is the hail path as indicated by Doppler radar. You can see the hail hitting Wallowa County and points farther on off to the east. Now, how does this happen? How do you get a hailstone this big? Well, basically, you need updrafts in a thunderstorm of about 80 miles an hour. An updraft is wind that's going straight up within the storm. So what happens is you begin with a small hailstone, even usually a speck of dust or even an insect, and as it makes its trip up the updraft, ice accumulates along it. In the top of the cloud, the updraft's weak and so starts to fall back down. But then it hits that strong updraft again and it gets pushed back up. And then it gets another coating of ice on it and it gets a little bit bigger. In fact, if you take one of those hailstones and you cut it in half, it'll look like an onion. You'll see the layers of ice from each trip up through the thunderstorm. And so basically the hailstone has to get big enough so it's heavy enough to fall through however strong those updrafts are. And those updrafts, again, about 80 miles an hour. Very impressive. No storms happening there tonight. We've got some pretty calm but hotter and hotter weather coming our way as we go through the next week, guys. Back to you.
Yeah, really scary when you think about chunks that size slamming down on the ground. Thank you, Matt. Let's get to your other headlines this Friday afternoon, including some very tense moments at a construction site on the OHSU campus. That's where a heavy drilling rig tipped over and trapped the operator inside. Mike Benner has more on what quickly became a very intricate rescue.
This was no small job. Portland Fire and Rescue's technical rescue team suited up for this one, and they were not alone. We're told workers at the construction site played a major role in the rescue.
A dramatic moment at a construction site on the OHSU campus. Rescue crews carry the operator of a drilling rig to a waiting ambulance following a frightening and rare accident.
It has not happened on one of my projects in my lifetime.
Tim Johnson, general manager of Portland's Skanska office, says it all unfolded just before 11 a.m. Friday. A 100,000-pound drilling rig tipped over at the site of OHSU's hospital expansion project. For those of you familiar with the OHSU campus, this is right by the Casey Eye Institute. We're told the accident left the drilling rig operator, who's employed by Pacific Foundations, pinned inside the cab. First responders tell us construction workers on site used a jack to lift the heavy piece of equipment, allowing firefighters to rescue the operator. All of this happening in under 15 minutes.
We're going to do an investigation with Pacific Foundations. OHSU will probably be involved, in ourselves and whoever else needs to be.
Now, it's unclear if the injured operator went to OHSU or was eventually transported to Legacy Emmanuel. Regardless, they are getting the medical attention they need, and we are certainly hoping for the best. Reporting in downtown Portland, I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.